So the GR Yaris Circuit Pack, Litchfield, my Focus RS Edition, Revo Stage 2. Two pretty special cars, as you can see on camera. So they're normal cars, essentially. Normal cars turned up to the max. And obviously we'll go out for a drive in both of them. But you get things like this. Cools the brakes. Pretty handy. You get it down here. On my car as well. Cools the brakes. My car is rated at 440 brake horsepower, which is pretty good. This Litchfield GR Yaris is rated at about 350 horsepower. Has an Akrapovic exhaust. Mine has a Miltech exhaust. Both sound pretty good, and I'll put that on camera. But yeah, going out back to back, we're in Wales, North Wales. That is something else, and I've got a full review on that. But comparing these two cars, because they're actually similar prices, my RS Edition, you can get them for around 35 grand. Same with this one, that's pretty fully loaded. One of the main things is the Akrapovic exhaust and the Nitron suspension. Mine has just the stock RS suspension. It's freaking amazing cars. Brakes are good on this one as well. Brakes are pretty good on that too. But let's check them out, because they've got a lot of similar philosophies. Obviously, hot hatch. This being a 3-door, quite bespoke. The owner's obviously done quite a few things. There's the brakes. There's the brakes on my RS. Nitrous blue is my colour. This is like a pearlescent white. It's not going to come up as well on camera as I'd like. But what can you do? This is like a foil roof over a... So it's like carbon roof, but it's got a foil wrap. Very similar to my RS Edition, actually. Foil wrap on the top. So they're kind of, although I don't think that's carbon, they haven't done that quite on that. Good little stance. Akrapovic exhaust, as you can see there, very dirty. About £3,000 for that. You've got these special wheels as well. Again, they're forged. My wheels are forged as well. I believe these are a little bit more expensive though. You can see my Miltech exhaust there. Sports Cat RS. Both cars looking pretty unbelievable. I mean, I'm out of breath because I've just been driving so much. Oh man. But yeah, practical as well. I mean, this car doesn't actually have back seats in it, so yeah, if we actually open her up, very dirty, so my hand's going to get dirty. You can see it's got this stern performance, so it doesn't have back seats. It's all fine. Through load's pretty good. Yeah, so you've got the space shown there. I know practicality test on these two, but they're hatches. Then you've got my RS Edition, and it's a pretty big boot. Obviously I have back seats, you can just about see through there. Yeah, obviously both cars 4-wheel drive, which is perfect because it's been pretty wet to say the least. Now this is where it gets quite good. Let's check inside mine first. Keyless entry. Now mine has the Recaro seats. It's got a bit of carbon fibre here as standard, all kind of stock inside. Recaro seats, really figure hugging. I mean, they're quite firm, not gonna lie. It's more supportive than the other car. Got the short shifter, the manual gearbox there. RS dials, this being a 2018 car, a Mark III generation. Nice amount of space. Cool little car. I love it. My dream car. My baby. But then we come to the GR Yaris. Let's go in through the passenger side, because I think that's going to be the cool part. Yeah, quite nice inside actually. Plasticky bits there, but this owner's, the previous owner, fitted a few little things just to make it a little bit nicer, which I think it does. 6-speed manual, again a short shifter in this. Manual handbrake, both cars have manual handbrake, which is nice. This has also rev matching, that does not. The seats are figure hugging, but they don't figure hug you in too much. You know, they're not as much as that. And it's a little bit softer, and obviously you got your 3 pedals. But yeah, you wouldn't really think inside that either car has the tune in it. Analog dials, so that's quite nice. And I think that's the thing, to see what they're like to kind of drive. And yeah, we'll talk about it from there. It's not, you know, Litchfield have really done a great job on that one, and I think Revo have done a great job on that one. And I actually feel like it protects the car as well. You know, I think from stock these can have more issues than if they have more temperature protection and all this kind of stuff. But yeah, let's take them both out for a drive and come up with a conclusion with these two amazing cars. Obviously best on sale, at the moment is that one. Which one's better? I mean, for me, that's my dream car, but what might be better for you if you're looking for a car between 30 to 35,000? So in the GR Yaris circuit pack, this being Litchfield tuned, how does it compare to my Focus RS edition, which is obviously Revo Stage 2? So my Focus RS edition is 440 horsepower. This car is about 350-ish horsepower, both four-wheel drive. This having no rear seats, slightly less weight. I believe these are sort of sub 1200 kilos. My Focus RS is a bit of a lardy arse, to be honest. It's 1530 kilos. That's the big difference. We'll go out for a spin because I've been driving around in this quite a lot anyway. This has a few things like the Akrapovic exhaust. My Focus RS has the Miltech exhaust. Well, there's the first thing. To kind of get the initial thing out of the way, if you don't want to watch the whole of the video, GR Yaris is unbelievable. One of the best hot hatch on sale today for me, from what I've driven. I've driven a fair few cars. I love my Focus RS. They're actually quite similar money as well, so it's quite a good little comparison. One thing that has come to mind flinging around this car, these seats are great for comfort. But what I found with my hands, and I noticed Misha had this same issue on a recent YouTube video, because I'm pushing so hard, I'm gripping onto the steering wheel to hold my body. I don't have the biggest of bodies, so for someone else it might even be more challenging. Buckets are better. So the buckets in, say, like my Focus RS, the full Recaros, they're better for me. Other than that, this car being smaller, you know, it's still got a boot. For passengers and real world stuff, the Focus is better. I've obviously spent a fair amount of time driving my Focus RS. I'm about 1,500 miles now into the car. We're in North Wales at the moment. But I've spent a lot of time in the GR Yaris last year actually. My neighbour had one, lent it for me for the weekend. I did plenty of miles in it. Fucking hell. So this car's amazing. It doesn't get old. It's a pure fun hot hatch. This car, the biggest thing for me is the Nitron suspension, which is part, I think you can get via Litchfield, and the Akrapovic exhaust. It's just so much better on the road. My Focus RS edition has the standard stock suspension. It is way too firm. You can't push it as hard, particularly not along these kind of roads. And it's actually worse as a daily, despite being more practical. It's quite a confused car, and actually James from JM on Cars spoke to me when I met up with him. He's done a review on the car, and I think it is confused. It's a little bit, it doesn't know if it's in one area or the other, where I think this knows what it is. It's definitely got me things to think about, because that is my dream car, and I love it to bits. It looks amazing as well. For looks wise, this in the pearlescent white, oh my god, I cannot describe how good this car looks. Flipping heck. It looks amazing, goes amazing. Brakes are better, I would say, in this. However, they're useless unless you really push them. So a normal person jumping in this would struggle to drive it. Similar kind of to the Focus RS. It's not really for normal, it's really for drivers. This has a short shifter, which is the same short shifter as in my Focus RS. I believe they're both done by Forge. Exhaust wise, I mean, my car is from an era before the emissions and OPFs came into play, so it makes a slightly different noise. This being a 3-cylinder, that being a 4-cylinder. But I think they're worthy comparisons, these two cars. Very worthy. I don't think you're going to go wrong for either of them. Between 30 and 35 grand, I mean, what can you get for 30 to 35 grand these days? Yeah, take it from someone who has spent a fair few amount of time in this car. It's a great, great car. It's just a smile car. That's what cars need to do. It's a tricky world. These are great. The mods on this car are brilliant. Really work well. Litchfield have done a great job. I drove a Litchfield M240i last year and that was pretty good. Yeah, this has made what is a brilliant car even better. Just amazing. amazing. The thing is with the GR Yaris, it doesn't really matter whether it's Litchfield tuned or not. They don't really have any go at low RPM. I think it's just because of that huge turbo. The Focus RS for me feels a little bit better low down. That's just from me, sort of my sort of opinion on it. But when you're on it, flipping heck, above 4, it doesn't half shift. It really shifts. But let's end it in the RS edition, and I will tell you about my amazing car, and yeah, do a little bit of a conclusion comparing the two. So, in the Focus RS edition, how does this feel compared to the GR Yaris? Obviously, I've done about 1,500 miles in this car, so I know it pretty well. So, yeah, the GR Yaris feels a lot more like a track toy, whereas I think, yeah, I'm going to stand by. I think this car is just, it's on sort of both modes, really. I mean, they both sound great. It's obviously a bigger car, it weighs a bit more, perhaps it's a little bit more settled on the road. The GR Yaris skips about a little bit. You know, this does follow with the front wheels as well a bit, so seats definitely feel more supportive. That's one thing. Brakes are really good on the Yaris, brakes are pretty good on this. They're just both great cars, like genuinely. I'm so glad that Ford made this, and you know, I know they don't make an RS now, as I've kind of mentioned before, and for 4-wheel drive means it's been wet and horrible, and these cars are absolutely fine. Absolutely fine and practical. I've had my bikes in the back of here. Not quite sure you can get a bike in the back of a GR Yaris, but hey, if you can do it, you can do it. For me, the big winners are the car community. Comparing both these two cars, I think it's just a good thing that you can do in 2023. We're nearly April 2023 now. You know, and up in North Wales, it's just so great to come here, great to drive the cars. And yeah, I mean, I can't really split too much between them. I think for me, Fast Fords kind of, this car meant quite a lot to me in that respects. But the GR Yaris kind of came out of nowhere, which is great. Listen, hey, I'm all for more hot hatches, more competition. I'm really am a lover of all cars, and actually the owner of the GR Yaris has an M3. He's kind of on the same kind of boat as me. Yeah, the short shift is great. I have to say, manual gearbox cars without a short shifter, like my Golf R, you notice the difference. I'm actually surprised how much more settled hopping back in this RS is compared to the GR Yaris. The GR Yaris really does skip around quite a lot. Maybe that's just part of the character of the car, I guess. Both can sort of change the way, the distribution of the power to the rear, to the front, which is quite cool. This can kind of go to drift mode style, which is nice. Yeah, big winner of both. I think they both look stunning. Nitrous blue in this car, bit of a pearlescent paint, and then with the GR Yaris with its white pearlescent paint. Really stunning cars, and I'm happy to own this, and I think the owner loves his as well. Great to kind of just compare these cars kind of back to back, get a bit of a feel of what they're both like. Spent a lot of time in the GR Yaris as well, a lot of cool roads around here. Both cars are just super fun, super fun. Both have quite wide tracks as well, so they're not quite as small on the road as you might think, which is surprising. Wider than the standard equivalent Yaris and wider than the standard Mark III Focus. Oh man, big winner is us. Looking at cars these days, if you can afford a car on the side, these two hit the mark. As a daily, do both work? I think if you can put up with the suspension, I mean, a stock GR Yaris is quite firm. I felt the Nitron dampers in that. This is firmer. It is probably too firm. Yeah, I've got a 3-hour drive back to Hertfordshire. Not that I'm really complaining, because I do love this car. I'll stop off a couple of times on the way, so it's not exactly all bad. Yeah, so final thoughts for me, I think they're both winners. I know it's a bad conclusion for some, you want one or the other, but you can't buy this car new, so I suppose by de facto fault, GR Yaris is really the winner. That's a car you can go in, you can buy today, get some warranty on it. Obviously, yeah, you'd have to get the second hand, the RS's, but very different characters, but trying to achieve the same thing, trying to put a smile on people's faces. And generally these cars are, you know, they can keep up with the best of them. They really, really can, particularly up here in North Wales, you know, they really can. Yeah, big smiles all round, big smiles all round. I love my RS, I love the GR Yaris. It's just so cool to put them back to back, and there's probably a million more things that I can say, but yeah, perhaps ask me questions in the comments if I've missed things out, because there's a lot to talk about. The way it should be. Exactly. Oh man. Yeah, the paint's, I mean, to be fair, I probably wouldn't have got that if it wasn't for the colour. Oh man. So good. I think it's great you've got the spoiler and diffuser matte finish as well. Yeah, yeah. Is that stock diffuser back? Yeah, yeah, it's all stock actually on the outside. It's really, really nice. It's like they put a bit of the effort in, and it's not like cheapy feely plastic, if that makes sense. It actually feels like actually quite nice, which is not Ford. So I was quite, when I first washed it, I was like, oh, actually it's pretty good. And then you got obviously huge.
Where did you buy it from?
I got this from the Peak District.
Really?
So yeah, some guy, literally a dealership guy who owned his dealership, he wanted to run this. It was just like a dream car for him as well.
Yeah.
And I called him up on Boxing Day last year, and I said, you know, I just felt that's a good time to buy a car.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And he's been great, to be fair.